welcome. Thank you so much for coming out and joining me today. I'm excited. Today is a very first Facebook live stream from the Rocky Mountain Raptor program. And I'm excited to be here to get to talk with all of you, share some wonderful information about this great raptor that I've got with me today, which we'll get a chance to meet. We are, of course, the Rocky Mountain Raptor program, and my name is Jessica. I am the Education and Outreach Coordinator with the Rocky Mountain Raptor program. So that means my job is to spend all day talking to people like you about raptors, which is not really that terrible of a job. Today, we're going to get a chance to learn a little bit about this beautiful ambassador raptor that I have with me here today and give you a chance to ask some of your questions, learn a bit about the Rocky Mountain Raptor program and what we do. Along the way, if you have questions, curiosities, things you want to learn, feel free to type that into the chat and we'd love to answer questions for you. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow us to see what other events and live streams we'll be doing as well. So today, this gorgeous raptor that I have with me here, this is a Swainson's hawk. This is one of many species of raptors that are native to Colorado, and this particular individual is actually permanently disabled. She is one of our team of teaching or education birds, and she came into the Rocky Mountain Raptor program actually from Wyoming, is where she's originally from. She was injured in Wyoming after she was hit by a car. And unfortunately, that happens to raptors often. So being hit by a car, really common injury, and our primary work here is to recover raptors when they get injured in cases like that. So working to heal up broken bones, help lost babies find their way back to their families if we can, dealing with diseases or all different types of injuries with the goal of getting those birds back out into the wilds. Unfortunately for this Swainson's hawk, she suffered a broken wing. And that wing healed up in a way that doesn't allow her to fly as well as she would need to survive in the wilds. Swainson's hawks are migratory birds, which means they make an incredible journey every single year, traveling from the Great Plains of central North America, so out on eastern Colorado areas, right up towards into the Front Range, out throughout the Great Plains. They spend their summers, raise their families, eat lots of delicious things like bugs and mice and snakes and squirrels and whatever they can catch. But then in the fall, they migrate south, traveling for an entire month to reach Argentina, which is a pretty good distance. They spend their winters down there and then travel back. But to fly that far, they have to be able to fly perfectly. And because she had a broken wing that did not heal up with the absolute full range of motion in it, she cannot fly that far and she would not survive that migration. Therefore, she was deemed non-releasable and has been an ambassador with the Rocky Mountain Raptor program for, what are we at now? For 9 years she's been with us. So she's actually relatively young as far as Swainson's hawks go. So, Swainson's hawks, as I said, are native to Colorado. Right now, middle of summer, if you're out and about, you can see them. They're out soaring with their big wings locked overhead, soaring on the air currents, out over the open fields, hunting for whatever delicious things they might find and decide to eat. And they'll be around till sometime in September, and then they'll head down south for the winter. So you have a chance of seeing these gorgeous, gorgeous raptors right around here where you live. Now, what exactly is a raptor? A lot of people have heard that word, but they may not be exactly sure what qualifies. Well, raptors are birds. They're a unique, a special kind of bird that's different from all of the other birds out in the world for really 3 main reasons. And we'll get a chance to look a bit closer at those 3 reasons that really make a raptor today. The first one of those is the feet. Each foot has 4 toes. Each toe is armed with a needle-sharp talon or claw designed to puncture. And I have an example over here. These are actually, easy, easy. These are the feet off of a golden eagle. So a lot larger than a Swainson's hawk would be. I'm going to see, are you okay? She's a little uncomfortable with the feet. We're going to see if we can bring those up and give you a chance to take a closer look at them. But look at those claws. Look how sharp, how long they are. These are the weapons. These talons, this is really truly what makes a raptor. These talons are what they use to hunt their prey. Because a raptor is a predator, they hunt and eat other animals, and they use those sharp talons along with incredibly strong feet to grab a hold of all their prey. So you'll see, of course, I'm wearing this big, thick leather glove here. That's to protect my arm and hand against her talons and her feet. Now, she knows me, she trusts me, she's not actually going to try to injure me, but we want to be safe. So these sharp talons and strong feet are one of the main things that make a raptor. Secondly is the beak. This beak is actually part of the skull. It's like a mouth and a nose in one. It does all the same things that a mouth and a nose do. So they breathe with their beak, and they talk with their beak, and they eat with their beak. And they don't really fight with their beak because the primary weapons are the feet. That's really what, if they have to fight and defend themselves, that's what they're going to fight with. But the beaks, again, this is from a golden eagle. I like to use the golden eagle because it's big so you can see it when you're at home. But look at the beak. It is actually part of the skull. It's attached to it. So it's incredibly strong. That beak has the ability to break bones. Whole big bones, and just break them into pieces they can swallow. So the beak is a unique shape found only in raptors. So that's the second thing that makes a raptor into a raptor. The third thing is the eyesight. Raptors have excellent eyesight. Something like this Swainson's hawk could sit at the top of a 60-foot tree and see a mouse on the ground. No problem. So, strong feet armed with talons, sharp, hooked, curved beak designed for ripping and tearing, and excellent eyesight is what makes a bird into a raptor. Now I'm going to see if she wants to demonstrate how these things work by offering her some food. She hasn't eaten yet today, and so I have a little bit of mouse. This is not a live mouse. It is a dead mouse. If you're uncomfortable, you can feel free to look away for a little bit, but she seems interested. I'm going to offer this mouse to her, and then we're going to see if she decides she wants to eat it. She'll actually use that beak to rip and tear it into bite-sized pieces, so you get a chance to see how that works. What do you think? So let's see if she's hungry. She's a little bit of a picky eater, and she hasn't been terribly hungry lately just because it's been so hot outside. She hasn't really wanted to eat a lot just because it's been so hot, but we'll give her the chance to see if she's interested in eating anything, and she very well may not, but we'll give her the chance. As I said, Swainson's hawks are native to Colorado, and for those of you who may have just joined us, this ambassador with me today is a Swainson's hawk, a native species of raptor that can be found in the Great Plains of all across North America, really. So kind of the central part of the country, and southern Canada, maybe into northern Mexico, is where you're going to find these species. So they are here in Colorado and very well maybe in your own backyard. They're very typical size, typical coloration here that you can see with her. You gonna eat that? Maybe not. She doesn't seem very hungry today, but We'll give her a chance to keep thinking about it and decide if she wants to. So this is very common and typical for what Swainson's hawks look like. So easily confused with red-tailed hawks. And but the difference is, well, there's several little differences. The red-tailed hawks are here year-round, whereas as I mentioned earlier, Swainson's hawks are migratory, so they're going to head south for the winter. Now, this Swainson's hawk has a real distinct common identifier to help you decide if the hawk that you might be looking at is a Swainson's hawk. If you look at her belly, she's wearing she's wearing a bib. If you look right here, do you see that dark portion right underneath her neck? It looks just like a baby bib. This is one of your best identifying marks for a Swainson's hawk, provided they sit still and face you, which usually they don't. So that may not be the most reliable way to identify a Swainson's hawk. They do have a pattern of color underneath the wings. Will you show your wings? Maybe she'll show us her wings. And as they come out, can you show us your wings? There they go. Do you see there's two bands of color underneath her wings? Light and dark. There she goes. She's thinking about it. You're right, Beth. She is a little shy, and she is seriously contemplating, but there she goes. So that hooked, curved beak is designed to rip and tear and hopefully actually pull whole sections of that animal into bite-sized pieces that she can then consume. They don't have teeth. They can't chew. So rather, there she goes. They're going to use that beak to rip the animal up that they're consuming into bite-sized pieces. We'll give her a chance to work on that for a while. Look how she twists her head and pulls it apart. There she goes. Today she's eating mouse, which is one of her favoriteest things to eat. We sometimes offer her rat. She's not really all that fond of it. But mouse is definitely something that she loves to eat. She's going to eat the entire thing. So that means not only is she going to eat the meat, the tail, there it goes. She's going to eat the fur, the skin, the bones, all the internal organs, so eyes and brain and tongue and heart and liver and lungs and all of that, and the bones and the blood. I mean, all of it. The entire animal is what they're going to eat. So that means, of course, if they're eating other animals as a predator, a raptor is a carnivore, eating only other meat. Are you done? Is that it? How about some more? I told you she's a little bit of a picky eater, so sometimes she's slow about it. So, mice, favorite food, prey item for Swainson's hawks. But these guys are not terribly picky. As a species, they're willing to eat a pretty wide variety of different foods. So Swainson's hawks like this one will eat a lot of smaller sorts of mammals and rodents that would live out in their primary habitat, which is grasslands. Big, wide, open, treeless spaces with very little vegetation aside from simply grasses. So think of things like mice and rats, voles, snakes, grasshoppers, spiders, things like that. Rabbits, a bit too big. Prairie dogs, again, a bit too big, so they're not really going to go after those. They like the smaller things, and they'll leave those bigger prey items for other types of predators that are out in that habitat. But here at the Rocky Mountain Raptor program, because she is permanently disabled, which means she is non-releasable. If you missed earlier or just joining us, this Swainson's hawk suffered a broken wing after she was hit by a car. That's common, a very common injury that we see and treat. And that broken wing left her unable to fly, which left her non-releasable. And so we really do provide everything that she might need for the entirety of the life that she's with us, which could be quite a long time. We could see she could live with us for more than 20 years without, really any trouble. So, because we get to take care of her every day, we kind of get to know her. We get to know her preferences, her likes, her dislikes, and we know that she loves mouse. So that's what we feed her. Occasionally, she might eat a little bit of rat or something else, but generally, she'll ignore it in favor of her mice. But we do treat all the different kinds of raptors that live here in Colorado. And so the Swainson's hawk is just one of about 30 different species of raptors. What are you doing? Oh, she wants to hold it herself. She doesn't want me to hold it anymore. We have about 30 different species of raptors that can be found all across the state of Colorado. So lots of great opportunities for all of you to get out and go see and experience raptors in your neighborhood, or if you're out hiking or camping or fishing or just taking an afternoon walk. I bet you probably could see one. There it goes. Oh, last bit. Let's see if she wants that. Down the hatch. It's always fun to get to see them eat. We'll see if she wants to do another one here. She's got more choices. Got another mouse for you. What do you think? So that means 30 different types of patients that we could potentially have here. At the Rocky Mountain Raptor program, we're based in Fort Collins. We are a nonprofit, which means we don't get any money or funding from the state of Colorado or from the federal government. Even though raptors like this are a federally protected species, we don't get any funding for the work that we do. We get our funding to care for all of these gorgeous individuals just from people like you who value what we do and choose to support us. And that's certainly something that all of you have the ability to do to help support us to support them by making a donation. And we see about, on an average year, around about 300 injured raptors will come in through our doors. This year, 2020, has been different, of course, in so many ways. But for us, it's been different because it's been really quiet as far as patients go. Normally, we would be just wall-to-wall patients this time of year, peak of summer, but we're not. We only have about 25 patients in-house and have admitted just over 100 birds so far this year. So that's a lower number than in a typical year. Why? We're not really sure. The pandemic may have had something to do with it. People weren't out and about as much for several months, and so when the kids were hatching and starting to bop about the world and learn how their wings work and learn how to get around and exploring everything, they often end up down on the ground. They end up in really dangerous situations, get themselves injured as they're just kind of learning and exploring the world. And as I said, they get hit by cars often, and well, people weren't out driving. So maybe that had something to do with it. Not really sure, but it's given us a great chance to focus on the patients that we do have and really provide great care and get some projects and stuff done around here, which is always great because we get challenged with that. Here she goes. She's enjoying that mouse today. So of the 300 patients that come into the Rocky Mountain Raptor program for care, far and away, about 85% of them come into us because they got hit by a car. That's the bulk of the injuries. Now, they'll suffer something extra, like a broken wing, like the Swainson's hawk had. They could have broken legs. They could have head trauma, body trauma, things like that, that have some sort of secondary injury that we need to treat. But the original cause of that injury was being hit by the car. So we work to help recover those various types of injuries. Sometimes they'll come into us with other kinds of injuries, territorial disputes, weather events, in the springtime when we get those really crazy windstorms, which we didn't get too many of this year, which was really nice. But we did get that super late spring snowstorm that was really heavy. If you remember that, that's the kind of snowstorm that can kind of wreak havoc on a nest full of young birds and maybe knock down the nest or bring the tree branch down. And those kids can come into the hospital that way. But our primary work is to repair those injuries. And our rehabilitation team will give these injured individuals everything that they need for as long as they need, with that goal of releasing them back out into the wild for what we call their second chance at freedom. And of those patients that we can treat, because unfortunately some birds do come in with injuries that are too severe for us to repair. For example, we had a red-tailed hawk that came in one time that had 2 broken legs. We can't fix that. Really, really crazy case. We had a different red-tailed hawk that got hit by a train, which is wildly unusual, but that severed off a whole wing. We can't replace wings like that. So some individuals will not survive their injuries and will be humanely euthanized so that they don't continue to suffer. But if there's a chance, tiny, tiny little chance, we'll take it. We'll give that bird whatever it needs to recover and get it back out into the wilds. And of those birds that we can treat, we get about 80% of them back out into the world, which is something we are very proud of. And it takes the support of our community to make this happen, because we are a community-supported organization, relying on volunteers, although that looks very different right now during COVID and pandemic, but we rely on our wonderful volunteers and the supporters in our community and around the country that help support the work that we do, again, so that we can support and care for the raptors. Coming along with us on Facebook, seeing what we're up to, making donations is a great way to help support. If you follow us, we're going to be doing these live streams every Wednesday from 4 to 4:30, bringing out a different ambassador for you to meet. We have 20 beautiful feathered friends to share with you. So I am going to be bringing out and introducing different ones every week. Plus, we may have other different events. Check our calendar on our Facebook page. You guys are here already, so you know how to find it. But our website as well will have other opportunities for you to learn, meet, ask your questions, learn more about these gorgeous raptors. So come along, expand your knowledge, enjoy the world while right now we may not be able to get out and actually enjoy it in person. We'll do the best we can. If you have any questions, feel free, continue to type those in. I'd love to answer them. If you have questions afterwards, we'll be monitoring the stream, which will be up for you to view later on the Facebook page or to share. Just again, my name is Jessica. I'm the Education and Outreach Coordinator. I'm one of, let me see, what are we up to? 10 staff members that the Rocky Mountain Raptor program has. And if we were able to run at full capacity, we have about 140 volunteers that support us. We hope to welcome back many of those faces as soon as it's safe to do so. We have 20 gorgeous, non-releasable, all permanently disabled in some way ambassador, and about 25 patients in-house right now. So anything that you do to share the word about us helps support all of us that work with these birds. So, hi Pauline, thank you. So, looks like she's probably done. Nothing else, dear? Like I said, it's been hot, so she hasn't been terribly hungry, which is okay. They don't need a lot of calories to burn like they do in the winter to keep warm. So, if that's all she feels like eating today, then that's enough to keep her healthy. So again, this is a Swainson's hawk. She is a type of raptor, which are the special type of birds the Rocky Mountain Raptor program cares for. To review the 3 things, do you guys remember them? The 3 things that make a raptor? Feet with the talons, strong gripping strength, ripping, tearing beak, and excellent eyesight. So, Michael asks here, let me see. Does this raptor have a name? Michael, thank you. That's an excellent question. She does not have a name because she's not a pet. She's a wild animal. And there's really a big difference between a pet and a wild animal. And it's important for us who share our world and our communities with wildlife to understand and respect the difference between them. And so a wild animal like this Swainson's hawk, if she were out in the wild like her counterparts are, she is so much better off the further away she stays and people stay from her. So the further apart we stay, the better off it is for the wildlife we share our communities and our world with. Because for raptors, as with a great variety of wildlife, the biggest threat that they face day to day is us. And most of it's unintentional, most of it is accidental. I wish I could say all, but that's not the reality. And so remembering and respecting that as a wild animal, she doesn't need us. Now, this individual does because of her disability, but the wild ones don't. They don't need us, they don't really like us, they don't want us to be near them. And so we want to give them their space. We respect the wild creature that she is. So we call her Swainson's Hawk Fracture, because we actually have 3 Swainson's Hawks on our ambassador team. So we have to give them some kind of identifier so we can tell them all apart. So we have Swainson's Hawk Female. Turns out actually all 3 of them are females. So we have female, we have head trauma, and we have fracture, kind of referring to the injuries that they sustain. So we know when we talk about a Swainson's hawk, which Swainson's hawk are we talking about? So that's a great question, Michael. We call this one Swainson's hawk fracture, and that has pretty much become an identifier for her, though not really what we would consider to be a name. So great question. So keep them coming. If anyone else has any questions, I certainly would love to answer those for you. So Swainson's hawks, like most raptors. Do you want any more? Have some more. No. Raptors in general are not very vocal birds. I love to get up in the morning around dawn. I love to go outside and hear that morning chorus of birds. It just makes my whole day. The meadowlarks and the robins first thing in the morning. I just absolutely love them. But if you go out and you're listening to a chorus, you're not really going to be hearing raptors. They are not vocal. They don't sing songs in the way that a lot of songbirds do. They really only make noise when it's mating and breeding season. They do that to bond with their mate or to establish or defend their territory. So you really won't get to hear them very often, but I do have a recording. I have an app on my phone from Audubon, which is a free app. I love it. I think it's great for hearing sounds and helping to identify. But I'm going to play for you the sound of the Swainson's hawk. So here we go. So there you go. That's the pretty typical call of a Swainson's hawk. Kind of monotonous, but you might hear them calling in flight somewhere. So keep your ears open. You never know. Remember, raptors are all around us, so I encourage you to go out, look for them in your communities. I'm so glad you came, joined us today, got the chance to meet this beautiful Swainson's hawk and learn a bit more about the Rocky Mountain Raptor program. Michael, you asked, is this hawk also known as a grasshopper hawk? Yes, it is. That's another name because that is one thing they love to eat is grasshoppers. We'll sometimes just find the little legs left over in her room if one got in and she managed to catch it. So yeah, grasshopper hawk is another name for them, you bet. Remember to like and follow the Facebook page, and please come visit us again for one of our future upcoming live streams. So everyone, it's been a pleasure sharing the Raptors with you today. Thank you everyone for coming, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Okay. So, like I said, this is our very first one, so we're learning how this works. And how do we stop? I don't know. You could, oh, we'll respond to Susan's.